When Washington tallied the official price tag for Operation Epic Fury, the headline number sat at $37.5 billion. That sounds like a definitive total, but that number is a mathematical illusion. If you only look at the Pentagon's operational budget, you miss how modern warfare actually works. The real receipt doesn't arrive while the missiles are flying. It arrives years after the ceasefire is signed. The true bill wasn't paid out of defense reserves. It was extracted directly from the American consumer. Quiet economic shockwaves and a dangerous depletion of national security. When you add up the direct combat costs, the post-war replenishment contracts, and domestic inflation, this conflict effectively levied a $1,000 hidden tax on every single household in America. To understand how this happened, you have to look at the opening hours of the conflict. In just the first 100 hours, the military burned through $3.7 billion, but $3.1 billion of that was consumed purely for unbudgeted munitions replacement. The reason for this burn rate is a fundamental mathematical flaw in modern defense. American forces were forced to launch $12 million THAAD interceptors and $28 million SM-3 missiles to destroy Iranian Shahed drones that cost as little as $20,000 to manufacture. To visualize this imbalance, imagine throwing a brand new luxury sports car off a cliff every time you need to squash a single mosquito. You might win the immediate interaction, but the economics will bankrupt you. Therefore, the Pentagon spent millions to defeat technology that cost pennies. But losing capital isn't even the primary threat of this equation. You can always print more dollars. You cannot print time. During a single 12-day window of the conflict, the United States depleted up to 30% of its entire THAAD stockpile, while virtually exhausting its inventory of long-range precision weapons like ATACMS. Refilling those empty warehouses isn't a matter of simply signing a check. Even if production lines quadrupled their output tomorrow, replacing those interceptors will take nearly 5 months of continuous manufacturing. Because America consumed years of specialized industrial output in a matter of weeks, the Pentagon has been forced to shift over $67 billion into post-war replenishment. Therefore, Washington didn't just spend cash in the Middle East, it froze its defense supply chain and crippled its military deterrence in the Pacific for years to come. But the financial bleeding didn't stay on the battlefield. It jumped straight into the civilian economy. When fighting threatened the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow maritime artery carrying 20% of the world's petroleum, global crude instantly surged toward $90 a barrel. Ocean shipping carriers absorbed a $5.5 billion spike in fuel costs, adding roughly $117 in extra expenses to every single container on the planet. Simultaneously, marine insurance providers began charging up to $5 million in war risk premiums for a single oil tanker transit. Therefore, the conflict created a quiet, unavoidable supply chain tax. American commuters paid an estimated $21 billion in unexpected fuel costs at the pump, while consumers absorbed higher prices on everything transported by a truck or container ship. To cushion the shock, Washington was forced to draw down the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to its lowest level in nearly 4 decades. Draining national oil reserves to stabilize short-term gas prices is like clearing out your personal emergency savings just to pay this month's power bill. You might keep the lights on today, but you leave yourself completely defenseless against the next unexpected crisis. When you look past the initial headline numbers, the financial architecture of modern war reveals itself. The $37 billion spent on active operations was merely the down payment. When you add the $67 billion required to rebuild depleted missile stockpiles, the tens of billions in secondary fuel and shipping inflation, and the long-term erosion of military readiness, the true cost easily eclipses $100 billion.